The hero loser.
In a small, unremarkable town there lived a young man named Thomas. From an early age, Thomas was acutely aware of his lack of talent. He was clumsy, slow, and perpetually out of sync with the world around him. His idols were the athletes who graced the covers of magazines and the screens of televisions, their prowess a stark contrast to his own ineptitude. Thomas tried his hand at every sport imaginable. He ran races, but always finished last, his legs heavy and uncooperative. In swimming he floundered, barely managing to stay afloat. On the football field, basketball court and volleyball pitch, he was invariably the last one chosen, a reluctant addition to the team who spent most of his time warming the bench. The townspeople mocked him, their laughter a constant reminder of his failures. He was bad at everything. He was the town's joke. Yet Thomas was undeterred. He trained tirelessly, his body aching from the relentless effort. He woke before dawn to run, his breath visible in the cold morning air. He swam laps until his muscles screamed for mercy. He practiced his shots and serves, his hands blistered and raw. Despite his unwavering dedication, success eluded him. He was, by all accounts, a loser, but he was a loser who never gave up. Thomas's life was a relentless cycle of hope and despair. Each failure was a dagger to his heart, yet he bore the pain with a stoic resolve. The townspeople's laughter echoed in his ears, a cruel reminder of his inadequacies. He would return home, his body bruised and battered, his spirit teetering on the edge of collapse. However, in the quiet solitude of his room, he would find the strength to rise again. His walls were adorned with posters of his idols, their triumphant faces a stark contrast to his own weary reflection. He would stare at them, his eyes filled with a longing that words could not capture. He yearned to be like them, to feel the sweet taste of victory, if only once. On the streets, Thomas was a figure of ridicule. People pointed at him, their whispers a cruel symphony of mockery. Laughter followed him like a shadow, a constant reminder of his failures. The townsfolk told jokes at his expense, their words cutting deeper than any physical wound. "There goes Thomas," they would say, "the man who can't win." They told him to give up, to find something else to do with his life, as if his dreams were nothing more than childish fantasies. The disrespect he endured was relentless, a daily assault on his spirit. Nevertheless, through it all, Thomas held his head high, his eyes fixed on a distant horizon that only he could see. His heart, though battered, refused to break. One fateful day, Thomas entered a motorcycle race. The roar of the engines and the thrill of the competition ignited a fire within him. He pushed his motorcycle to its limits, the wind whipping against his face. For a brief, exhilarating moment, he felt the rush of potential victory, but in his fervour, he lost control. The motorcycle skidded, and Thomas was thrown from his seat. The world blurred, and then there was darkness. It was the last defeat. Thomas's death was a tragedy that shook the town to its core. The funeral was a sombre affair, attended by everyone who had ever known him. People came from far and wide to pay their respects to the young man who had never given up, despite his many failures. They spoke in hushed tones of his determination, his relentless spirit and his unyielding hope. In death, Thomas became a symbol of perseverance. He had never known that his efforts, though fruitless, had inspired others. The athletes he had admired now looked to him as a beacon of resilience. His story was one of sorrow and loss, but also of an indomitable will that refused to be extinguished. Thomas's life was a testament to the power of persistence. Though he never tasted victory, he embodied the essence of true courage. His legacy was not one of triumph, but of an unbroken spirit that continued to strive, even in the face of insurmountable odds. And in that he found a kind of victory that transcended the physical, touching the hearts of all who knew his story.
Thank you for listening to English Audio Lounge. We hope you have enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more audio stories and video classes to improve your English.